Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie if you're new here, and today I'm super excited to be sharing something new that is coming from Olive Ave. So if you are subscribed to Olive Ave's newsletter, then you probably already know this, but starting this month, Olive Ave is offering a build your own bundle option on their website. So I thought it would be really fun to swatch all of January's bundle options for you, as well as talk more about this new offer that's going to be happening every month, and of course give my recommendations at the end. So just as a reminder, I am an affiliate with Olive Ave, so I will have my link in the description box down below if you do want to support me and my channel. But let's just get into the swatches. The first polish is Raindrop, and this is from last year's Spring Deluge collection, which if you watched my nail polish awards video, you know that was my favorite spring collection. So this one is described as a peacock blue with a scattered hollow micro glitter and a subtle gold micro glitter too. I'm really happy that this is a part of the bundle option for this month because it's easily one of my favorite shades from Olive Ave. This is such a gorgeous shade of blue that is somehow both dusty and bright at the same time. And I actually really love the micro glitter in this one. I honestly think it's one of the better hollows that Olive Ave offers. So this one does have a slight crelly formula, but it was opaque for me in just 2 coats. The next shade is Storm, also from last year's spring collection, and this is described as a warm gray cream. So I feel like this shade definitely can lean a little bit purple in certain lighting with how warm it is. It's not really a true gray, even though it's kind of picking up that way, but I think that's just what makes it so unique and so flattering to wear. The formula on this one, as you saw, was just so smooth to apply. It's not thick at all, and I think when I originally swatched this last year, I was able to get away with it in 1 coat, but this time I needed 2, but it didn't really bother me so much since the formula is just mwah. Next we have Pegasus, which actually came out in her first winter Constellations collection a couple years ago. This one is described as a pale dove gray with a subtle rose gold shimmer. The formula on this one is a little bit more of a crelly kind of finish, but it still is just so amazing that it gave me really even coverage on the first coat. And even though it's a light shade, I still only needed 2 coats to be fully opaque. The base color is super light and soft, and I think the shimmer is a nice touch, but it definitely can be hard to pick up since there's not that much contrast against the base, but it still is a very fitting polish for January. Up next we have Cloudy, an incredibly pale baby blue cream that borders on being white. So I know it basically looks white, so I wanted to show it next to Pegasus so you can see just how pale gray Pegasus actually is. And here it is also next to Calcite, which is the closest to a white that Olive Ave offers. And this one is not a part of the January bundle options. So yeah, hopefully you can see the whisper of blue that's in Cloudy. So last year I was definitely on the fence about how incredibly pale the shade is because it was just so hard to pick up on the blue, but I actually have learned to love it. There's just something about it that's so light and airy and just refreshing, and I really think it's such a great alternative if you're not a fan of a stark white manicure, which I know some people absolutely hate. So yeah, next to a white, you definitely will see some hint of blue in here. But the formula is amazing as well. It's very similar to Storm with how great the coverage is, and it's honestly amazing for being such a light shade. So here I'm holding the bottle of Calcite, which again is the closest that Walker has to a white polish. So hopefully you can see that hint of blue in Cloudy. I think it's just so delicate. The next shade we have is Flora, which is this white pearlescent crelly base packed with an iridescent shimmer that shifts from blue to purple in more extreme angles. I wanted to do a quick bottle comparison next to Opal, which came out in the Rock Solid collection. This shade isn't a part of the January bundle, but it's just more of a pink sheer tinted base that can be used more as a topper. I think Flora can also be used as a topper if you wanted, but as you can see, the white base is pretty pigmented, so it would be obvious over darker colors, especially where it would kind of have that milky sort of look. So this has a really whimsical feel to it where the iridescent shimmer is really strong head on, but it sort of disappears as you move your finger around, especially on the first coat. So I totally think that this is one of those polishes that looks good no matter how many coats you have, but it is also one of those that I don't think will reach full opacity unless you do like 4 or 5 coats probably. I capped my swatch at 3 coats and you could still see some of my nail line, but again, for a shade like this, I really am not bothered by it because I just love that very dainty, whimsical kind of feeling to it. And with that opalescent glow of the shimmer, it is just so beautiful, especially for this time of year. Up next is Slater, and this is a super vivid cerise pink cream. This one just came out in last summer's collection, and it's definitely the boldest color option that we have this month. While I don't know if it's appropriate for January, you know I'm not gonna say no to a hot pink because, I mean, it's gonna be perfect for Valentine's Day or just the month of February. So this one has a slightly crelly kind of formula, so it's not quite fully opaque on the first coat, and it's actually picking up super bright, so I tried lowering the exposure to make this a little bit more color accurate. So I know it's making my skin look like gross and dull and everything, but at least the color of the polish is a little bit more accurate to how I see it in real life, especially compared to the website photos, for example. I feel like they look very warm, and I know this polish is also described as having warm undertones in the website description, but I personally feel like this leans very cool to me. So either way, I'm gonna be here for a pop of pink, and after the second coat, I had almost full opacity, but I feel like my nail line was super faint. Honestly, it's not enough for me to do a third coat, but just in case anyone is bothered by it, I wouldn't really say that this is one of the typical Olive Ave cream formulas. It's just ever so slightly squishy. The next polish we have is Peony, and this one is a pale pink peachy cream. This is another favorite of mine. It's another one of those creamy Olive Ave formulas that's just so satisfying to apply. And honestly, it's just impressive for a light shade, kind of similar to Cloudy. So this is definitely one of my favorite light pink creams in my entire collection. I don't especially love very whitened out baby pinks, so the slight warmth in this one from that peachy tone just makes it look so flattering. So again, formula-wise, it was pretty even coverage on the first coat, but definitely not a one coater. And it reached full opacity for me in 2 coats. And yeah, I can't recommend this one enough. It's just so beautiful, especially for the coming months. Next we have Rose Quartz, a cool toned sheer pink with a subtle blue flash. This one came out in the somewhat recent Rock Solid collection. And this one is a pretty standard milky pink sheer, and the only thing that really is separating it from other sheers is the subtle blue shimmer in this one. I've worn this on one coat as the base for negative space nail art, and I feel like the blue is just really hard to pick up, but it becomes ever so slightly more noticeable the more coats you do. So I don't think it builds up enough that it'll be distracting in a bad way if you wanted to use this as a sheer pink base, if that makes sense. But yeah, as far as the formula goes, this one definitely is very sheer and again, very cool toned. You can see that there's a lot of white to it. So like I was just saying in the last polish, I don't really love whitened pinks that much, but this is definitely a great option if you don't have a sheer pink in your collection, or if you just prefer very bright whitened pinks because it just will brighten up your nail, which, you know, my nails, since they're stained, they definitely could use that. The next shade is Blossom, and this is described as a petal pink with a strong gold shimmer. So this is another shade from last year's spring collection, which I honestly was kind of surprised to see so many in this month's bundle options, but I'm happy about it because, again, that was just one of my favorite collections from last year. So I found this one to be such a beautiful and elegant kind of shade. This has a slight crelly kind of formula, similar to Flora, but it's not as sheer. I think the base is still pretty even on one coat, and if you're in a rush, you could get away with just one coat for that kind of barely there wash of color. But I'm building it up to opacity in 2 coats, and it's just so pretty. I really love the shade of this pink base. It has that kind of peachy tone to it, but still is a light pink, and of course that gold shimmer just makes it so bright and warm. I think I said this in my review last year, but there's just something so romantic about a shade like this, and I'm just so happy that I still feel that way. Next we have Crystal, and this is a warm toned peachy sheer. So I also reviewed this one not too long ago with the Rock Solid collection, and you might remember I just didn't love this one on me because of those warmer undertones, but I realized now that it was really just because it emphasized my stained nails. I feel like my nails aren't as stained as they were before, so after the first coat of this one, I was genuinely surprised that I actually liked it. I feel like it just matches my skin tone almost perfectly, so it kind of gives that whole mannequin hands trend color, if you remember from years ago, but as a sheer polish. So I am sorry to being so unfair to Crystal in my original review because it's a really nice sheer, but again, maybe not one I would recommend if you have stained nails and you're trying to cover that up. And lastly, we have Limestone, which is described as a mid-toned khaki cream. So this one also came out in the Rock Solid collection, and again, if you watched that video, you know that I didn't love this shade because it just kind of reminded me of foundation. And while I haven't done a 180 with this shade like I did with Crystal, I definitely can still acknowledge that it is a nice kind of tan neutral shade. It just doesn't seem flattering to me on my skin tone personally, but this could be a shade that I would definitely use in some nail art. I just don't think I would wear this as a full manicure personally. But formula-wise, it's really great. One of those typical creamy Olive Ave formulas, so it was opaque for me in just 2 coats. So that wraps up my swatches for almost all of the options available for January's Build Your Own bundle from Olive Ave. Unfortunately, the only polish that I was missing this month was Constellation, which is like this black holographic jelly glitter polish that came out a couple of winters ago, but fingers crossed, moving forward, I will have the complete list of options available to swatch for the future months. The Build Your Own bundle is available from every first Sunday through the last Sunday of each month, and it offers this buy more, save more kind of discount. Now, I know there's only a week left for this month, but the reason for the delay is that Walker was busy with her own bundle of joy. She gave birth to baby Olive Ave earlier this month, so congratulations to them and their new baby. But yeah, I was just basically waiting for the email to go out that it was like still happening, and you know, it took a little while to just like swatch everything, so that's the reason for the delay. So back to the bundles, if you buy 4 or 5 polishes, you'll automatically save 15% off on your order, or you can save 20% by buying 6 or more polishes. So the discount is applied automatically and it can't be used with any other offers, discounts, or codes, but you can still support me by shopping through the link in my description box. So as far as my recs go, if I was making a bundle of 4, I would recommend going with Raindrop, Storm, Peony, and Flora. These 4 are easily my top favorites in terms of their colors and their formulas, and honestly, like, this quad is just kind of cute. Like, I love this lineup so much. But if you wanted a 5th polish, I would go with either rose quartz or crystal, depending on what kind of sheer you're missing in your collection. And if you want to save 20% off by adding in a 6th polish, I would go with either Cloudy or Slater, depending on what kind of mood you're in, if you want something light and refreshing or a nice in-your-face pop of color. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Definitely let me know what you think of Olive Ave's new build your own bundle option, because I honestly think it's such a great thing to offer, especially if you're not a fan of picking up full collections. You're able to pick up the equivalent of a full collection and still get a discount. And I just really look forward to the future monthly options that Walker is gonna have, because she just has such a way of putting together such a beautiful color story with her collections to begin with. And this is just like an expanded version of that. So I'm really excited about it, and I hope that you are too. Again, let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.